That's all right, we can start. Ladies and gentlemen, if you will, we want to call to order this our October board meeting for Shreveport Metropolitan Planning Commission of Caddo Parish. If you would ask that you would join us today in our invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance, will be led by Mr. Andrews and Ms. Desmartu, respectively.
Let us pray. In times like these, we not only need an anchor, we need a Savior. In times like these, we're so thankful for the many undeserved blessings that we enjoy each day. We pray that, Master, you continue to shed those upon us. We pray for wisdom, knowledge, and understanding, especially today, as we entertain requests from the citizens of our community that we are to deliberate and make decisions on as we travel this path today. We pray you continue to bless us and keep us. It is in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much for joining us for that invocation and our Pledge of Allegiance. I want to welcome you to the regularly scheduled public meeting of the Shreveport Caddo Parish Metropolitan Planning Commission for public hearing agenda items. If you wish to make public comments on an application, we have MPC comment slips at the speaker stand next to the podium. And for future notification purposes, it is very important that you fill out a slip and drop it in the box when you come forward to speak. Please state your full name, mailing address, and zip code before addressing the board. We will call each case on the agenda in order and hear first from the applicant, then those speaking in favor. 10 minutes are allotted to the principal spokesperson and 3 minutes for each additional speaker. We will then hear from those wishing to speak against the application. Again, 10 minutes are allotted for the principal spokesperson and 3 minutes for each additional speaker. One representative of the application can speak in rebuttal if so desired. After hearing comments on each case, the board will then immediately deliberate on and vote on the case before moving on to the next case on our agenda. Please note that when the board is deliberating, members of the public are not permitted to comment. Any member of the public may request a copy of the board's decision on a particular case by contacting our office at 318-673-6480 after 1 o'clock p.m. on tomorrow, or by accessing our website at shreveportcaddompc.com. For consent agenda items and other agenda items not requiring a public hearing, public comments can be made upon request by filling out an MPC slip, speaker slip. If comments are requested for a specific agenda item, the chair will offer the opportunity for those comments prior to the commission taking action on those agenda items. All of the MPC board zoning recommendations are submitted to either the city council or the parish commission for a final decision, depending on the location of the property in question. Please note that it is your responsibility to contact the appropriate governing body about their procedure as related to the matter that you are concerned with. Copies of this document and the phone numbers to contact the governing bodies are available on the table next to the podium and in the entryway of this room. As a courtesy, please remember to turn off all cell phones while the MPC board is in session. The commission values your testimony and appreciates your compliance with these guidelines. Thank you so much. The next thing on our agenda is item number 5, approval of minutes from our September 21st meeting. What is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion by Mrs. Smith, a second by Mr. Andrews, to approve the minutes from our previous meeting. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor vote yea, all opposed nay. Yes or no? That passes. We have today no consent agenda items, so we will move right to our public hearings. Our public hearings will begin with item 6, case number SC-7-18. It's a preliminary and final plat.
Randall Smoke with CGS Engineering, 6305 Westport Avenue, Shreveport. I'm the engineer on the project, just here if there's any questions.
Is there any questions?
Tell us some shit about it.
Ma'am.
Will you tell us something about
Oh,
what you're doing?
this is the Unit 4 of this subdivision. It was a 4-unit subdivision that was started back in about 2003. The first 3 units are nearly complete, and the owner is now desires to complete or continue to develop Unit 4, it's 25 lots, so that he can complete it, and it is same as it was master planned back at the very beginning, just the completion of the units.
All right, thank you. Any other questions? All right, thank you, sir. Are there any others here to speak in favor of this application? Anyone else here desiring to speak in favor of this application? Anyone here speak in opposition to this application? All right,
Mr.
Seeing
Chair,
no
motion
one-
to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Young, a second by Mrs. Smith. All, are there any questions? Seeing none, all in favor vote yes, all opposed no. Didn't work. All right, that passes. Our next item is item number 7, case number SP-23-18. It's preliminary and final plat. Is it represented from the application of this applicant, Mr. Bowman and Associates? All right, anyone here to speak in favor of the application? Anyone to speak in opposition to this application? All right,
Mr. Chairman, upon the recommendation of the staff, motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Young, a second by Mr. Smith to approve the recommendations of the staff. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor vote yes, all opposed no. All right, that passes. Our next item is agenda item 8, case number CA-8-18. It's a closing and abandonment. Someone here from Parish to represent this application?
Mr. Chairman, Jimmy Whittington, Caddo Parish Public Works, 505 Travis, Suite 820, Shreveport 71101. We received a request from the adjoining landowners of this section of the dedication of Brooks Road. It is not built. It is, there's nothing there. The road is not constructed. The right-of-way is not even wide enough to construct a parish road on. And the parish has no objection to this.
Okay. Is there anyone else here to speak in support of this application? Anyone here to speak against it? All right, seeing none, what is your pleasure?
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Smith, a second by Mr. Colvin. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor vote yes, all opposed no. That item passes. The next item on our agenda is case number CA-9-18. It's a closure and abandonment. Anyone here to represent the city of Shreveport?
Mr. Chairman, my name is William Talton. I represent the city of Shreveport through the office of the city engineer. The Shreveport Parks and Public Assembly has prepared a park to be built in this area, and we're requesting the closure and abandonment of a portion of a 20-foot alley in Block I of the W.R. Carter subdivision for the construction of the Shreveport Common Urban Park. The city of Shreveport owns all of the adjacent property, and I believe you've got on your plat.
All right. Any questions? Anyone else here to speak in favor of this application?
No question.
Oh, question, Mr. Colvin?
Is this the block right there where that Spar with the dog is, the Spar headquarters?
No,
It's right.
no, this is right adjacent to Providence House. The
Providence.
alley runs between Providence House and the old Shreveport Fire Station that was there.
Well, that's what.
And so what we're going to do is, because Providence House has a pickup back there,
Right.
we tie into a parking lot that fronts onto Cotton Street,
Right.
so that that's taken into effect. We've been, had communications with Providence to meet their needs.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? Mr. Clark?
Just to reiterate what Mr. Townsend has said, initially, it was, Providence House had some concerns in relationship to the closing and abandonment of that alley. But since the city has worked those things out, we're being informed that they no longer have any reservations and support the actual closing and abandonment.
All right. Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? All right.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion by Mr. Young, a second by Ms. Smith. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor vote yes, all opposed no. All right, that passes. Next item on our agenda is item 10, case number C-59-18, a zoning request.
I'm William Lee Jr. from 5606 Mansfield Road, and this is my dad. He's been operating a transmission and truck service there for 55 years, and we learned that our zoning had been rezoned back to a C2, and I believe our previous zoning was I1, and we were just trying to request that we get our previous zoning back, and was wondering if you would take in consideration that lot that we own next door, that you may zone that to I1. Most of the work we do is for the city and the parish. I don't know why they rezoned us.
Yes, sir. Any questions? I think maybe for the record, you can, someone from the staff can share with you what it is, what happened with the rezoning.
We were just trying to see if we could even consider the additional request that he's proposing. Mr. Jenkins will go down and talk with him after we
Okay,
get through.
all right. Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, my understanding that there's an additional request that was just made?
Just now made, yeah.
Yeah.
We weren't aware
Just
of
now
it.
made.
We
We
were
were
Well,
not aware of that desire Gotcha.
to-
That's what I thought I heard.
Return the zoning of the lot next door. But we will work with the applicant to try to serve their needs.
So we gonna, yes.
I was just going to explain to him
Yes, sir.
that the legal procedure, that if you wanted to rezone the lot next door, Mr. Clark is saying that the staff will work with you, but
Yes,
it
sir.
has to be the same process that you came through before.
Well, we're fine with what it
Yes,
is.
sir, I just wanted you to understand, that's what he was saying.
Yes, sir.
They'll work with you, but they do have
That's
to do,
right.
because they have to do public notice and all that.
Oh, I understand.
So it's.
So we just need to address what's on the.
Yes, sir, we're going to address what's on the agenda today. And then
Yes,
you
sir.
can fill out another application. I see they waived your fees, so it wouldn't cost you anything. It would just be another meeting that you would have to come to.
I understand. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Young,
Just for the public record, this is one of those cases where the zoning happened when the UDC map was adopted. And then so by policy that we have adopted and the city has agreed to, up to 24 months after that was done, we can go back and look at those and put those back where they originally were. And that's what we're talking about. It just may be another step,
Yes, sir.
but it's doable. So,
Yes, sir.
you know, as far as the procedure and everything else, because we were dead set on reestablishing those baseline zonings that were there before.
Okay, good.
Okay.
Well, thank you.
That was the whole reason for the policy.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, come on.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
all right. Anyone else here to speak in favor of this application? Is anyone here to speak in opposition? All right.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Young, second by Ms. Smith to approve. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor vote yes, all opposed no. That passes. Our next item on our agenda is number 11, case number C-60-18, special use permit and site plan. Right. No one here to represent the applicant? Is there anyone here to speak in support of this application? Anyone here to speak in opposition? All right. This is the little square house. All right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
In this particular case, is there an opportunity to delay and continue, or to defer and continue?
We can vote.
If you desire to defer and continue, you can. If you feel that there is a real need to defer to obtain additional information that will assist you in making your determination, we can
Staff has
attempt to
recommended
answer any
approval.
questions you may have.
With
With tips.
That was not a motion, that was just a question.
I make a motion, may I?
Yes, Ms.
I make a motion to defer it until we can hear from them.
Second.
I have a motion and I have a motion and second to defer. Mr. Young?
Well,
Vote.
I'm not going to go against you, Ms. Bessie. I mean,
Yes, sir.
I know you want the applicant here to speak, but I think the staff is recommending approval because they have vetted it, even though the applicant may have not showed
With
up.
some stipulations.
With the steps.
With the stipulation, we thoroughly vetted the application and determined that it would not have a negative impact on the neighborhood. It would basically just be an office with an occasional client coming by, not day-to-day operation with clients. And with the stipulations that we recommended, felt that it would fit into the neighborhood quite well.
Mr. Clark, he was aware that he was, whoever's supposed to be here today.
We always advise the applicant to come to the hearings. Our only question would be, in deferring and continuing, what information would you like for us to gather that would assist you in making a decision?
Take it back.
Yes. So, are you rescinding your
Yes, I am.
motion? So, Ms. Smith rescinds her motion. So, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve. Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Andrews to approve with stipulations and a second by Mr. Joseph. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor vote yes, all opposed no. That passes. Our next item is number 12, case number C-61-18, a zoning request.
How you doing, Judge?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I'm here on behalf of South Gateway Tire and Jay Caraway. I'm with Calvin Smith and McKay, 900 Market Street. And we have read a report and staff recommendation. We're trying to rezone the existing warehouse facility back to where it was before the UDC zoning update so that the adjacent property, which is I-2, can be bought. We're in a stage of a pending purchase.
All right. Any questions? This is, yes.
Are y'all purchasing the property on the north side where the modules, the storage containers are, or on the south side of the property?
Well, it's actually a little bit on the west side, as I understand it. With, is that the map right there? If that's north and south, we're purchasing the part back to the west side.
Oh, the behind it?
Yes,
Okay.
we're going to expand the facility
wonderful.
to the part about it.
That's
Yeah,
it.
okay.
Create jobs.
All right. Any other questions? Thank you, sir. Anyone else here to speak in favor of this application, in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? All right.
Mr. Chair, motion approved.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Young, a second by Ms. Smith to approve the application. Any questions? Hearing none, all in favor vote yes, all opposed no. All right, that passes. Our next item is item 13, case number C-62-18, it's a zoning request. Is anyone here to represent the applicant? Is anyone here to speak in support of this application?
Mr. Chair.
Yes, I understand.
That's the
I
next
didn't know
case.
you could see her.
I think that may be the
This
next.
is not the
That's
right
the next
case, huh?
one.
I think
This
that's
is number
yes.
13, case that 62-18?
People don't show up.
Right. So, is there anyone to speak in support of this application? Is there anyone here to speak in opposition? Case number C-62-18.
Are you for or opposed?
We're on 13, case number 62.
I apologize.
C-62-18.
Laundromat.
Andy Craig, Moore and Associates, 1324 North Hearn, Suite 301, Shreveport. And I'm not in opposition. I should have been up here. I should have been up here a while ago.
Okay.
But I was otherwise occupied. I'll be glad to answer any questions. It's a pretty simple laundromat, rezoning for a laundromat case. Yeah, I think the staff report pretty much represents the facts of the case, but
Right.
I'll be glad to answer any
Any
questions. y'all have
questions
any.
for Mr. Craig? Thank you, sir.
Okay.
I guess I've already asked anyone to support anybody in opposition.
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
I got a motion by Mr. Young, second by Mrs. Smith. If no other questions, all in favor vote yes, opposed no.
Come on.
All right, that passes. The next item is case number C-64-18. It's a special use permit and site plan. Is anyone here to speak on behalf of the applicant? YJ Grocery Deli.
Everybody got our meetings. YJ, was he gonna speak?
Looks like they're coming forward.
Nope.
Yeah, on the right-hand side. On the right-hand side, yeah.
Okay.
The voting piece, yeah, that. Who is the applicant?
They're the applicant. I'm the owner of the building, but Y&J is the applicant.
Okay, so whoever will speak on behalf of the applicant, then you can, so that you can speak.
I speak on behalf of the owner of the property. They wanted to apply for this. They've already applied to sell some alcoholic beverages. They did, and the people in the community.
Oh, I need to get your name and address for the record.
My
I'm
name is
sorry.
Luana Marshall Davis, address 1807 Clay Street, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71101.
Thank you.
Okay, the people in the community have come to us. We live in the community, and we own the property at 1901 Austin. Y&J rents the building, and they have a store there. They already sell beer and some alcoholic beverages. They were wanted to apply to be able to get the full liquor license. We do not oppose it. When we came before Mount Canaan Church and Shallow Church, Mount Canaan is the big church at the end of the street. They never opposed anything for them. They put out petitions for the community to come in, and because they've been asking them for it. We have quite a few residents from the community that came in and wanted to voice their opinion, wanted me to come up and say what they felt. So as the owner, we do not oppose it, that this is what they want. It saves the residents, like we have the towers there, apartments, and these are elderly people. We ran into a lot of stuff before we came the last time where they were walking all the way, or had people trying to walk or ride their chairs all the way down Pure Avenue to Milam to get this, to go and get beer or whatever they needed, or to send people, and they were running into things happening because we had several that were attacked going all the way down, trying to get there, or going all the way up on Hearn to the day and night store, which was a long ways for them. So this was more of a convenience for them, for the people that are around there. And that's why they came to me and asked would I come, and when they came this time, to help and to speak for them. So we do not oppose it.
We also have a lot of signatures. We had petitions
Yeah.
returned. in.
Is that the end of your comments?
Yes.
Right, are you here to speak in support?
I'm supportive.
She's the owner.
Yeah,
I
you
mean,
can speak,
the
you're welcome to speak, your name and address for the record.
My name is Karen Nazar. I live at 516 South Driston Court here in Shreveport. I just have a small business. We sell beer and also have wine permit there. and just asking for permission if you guys would allow us to sell alcohol there, high-content alcohol.
All right.
And that's it. We have some more people.
So there are others who may not want to speak, but if you're here in support, would you stand? You may not want to speak, but you're here in support.
Support.
All right. And Stephen.
My name is Vandale Douglas, in Allendale area, 1915 Paxton, apartment A4, phone number 404-4326.
Just back up a little bit, back up.
Oh, back up?
Yeah, you're good.
I signed for the beer license that they want before, and it's a long way. I don't drink beer. I drink alcohol. Thank you.
What's the Supreme Court do with Kavanaugh? I think beer.
I like beer.
Me too.
Hello, I'm James Dennis. I'm the manager of the store. I've been in Allendale 41 years.
Just name and address.
James, address 1909 Looney Street. I've been in Allendale all my life. Like she said, it's a lot of elder people that stay over there. They have to go like a long way to get to the liquor store. And as they going, people robbing, stuff like that. So it will be more convenient for we to sell liquor so they can be more safe. Thank y'all.
All right. Thank you.
I'm gonna take 3 minutes. We got a liquor store.
Name and address. We need your name and address for the record.
My name is Jimmy Jones, 247 St. Luke, 71101. Now, we have a store on every corner with every liquor in it. But it was no harm put one on the corner of Dale Street in Austin.
Thank you, sir. All right. That's it. All right. So we did note that there were people who was in support. Before we get to the opposition, you have a question?
What kind of 20?
20. You have a question?
I want to ask.
I hope she's still just a second.
Have you all had any crime, or you know how people loiter around the place?
No, they don't. They don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
When they say crime, as they did the last time when they applied for it, people came, we had people from the other side of 4th Street or down around further down that came up and said they don't want this, they don't want that because of the crime. Crime that happens over in Allendale is not from the people that are in Allendale. Crime comes from people outside coming in. We've had shootings in the apartments, Canaan Village apartments, but the people that did that didn't live there. They came from somewhere else and came to Allendale and did this. So having a liquor store or having them sell liquor, beer is not going to affect that. That kind of stuff is going to happen because it's people from outside coming in to do it. They don't loiter. We have police presence. Yes, you hear it on the news about the police coming in and crime and here and crime there. Crime is everywhere. They have the guy that's the manager is there, and he not only does he manage the store, you can see him when he looks around. You have the police that could patrol Allendale. Yes, they patrol there a lot, and I'm glad of that. So my mother is elderly. My brother is handicapped. I've got a disability, but we don't fear living in there. I was born and raised right there in Allendale, and I'm 56 years old. And I can walk the streets or do, whatever when I'm there.
I want to ask you another question. Who will be operating? I heard you say the guy. Is he here?
The manager is here. The manager,
Okay, good.
she's the owner, and the manager is right here. He came up and spoke.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
And there is no loitering outside the business. We don't let that happen.
Thank you very much.
All right. That's it. Is there anyone who is here to speak in opposition to the application?
I am Liberta Myers. located 1918 Ford Street, with Jameson Myers Alpha Lifelong Learning Center. I am in opposition for any additional liquor in this community. We have to remember that there are children who are affected by what they see and hear in their neighborhoods. These are children that are going to be among the low achievers in school because of that. And I just attended the ACE program with the YWCA, and the director of the juvenile system was the presenter, and said how this kind of experience will cause children ill brain development, and those children are going to end up in low-income schools, and they're going to perform poorly. We deserve better. The Myers property is one of the oldest properties in that community. It is the only original facility that is left on Ford Street. And we have churches, a Head Start Center, and schools all around. We don't need additional liquor. When I go out to pick up trash along the street of Northdale, liquor bottles and containers are everywhere. And then this little child said, "Why are you picking that up?" They're everywhere. Why are you picking it up? I said, because we want to make certain that this neighborhood is not trashed. Those of us that have been here for a lifetime want to see that that the Allendale neighborhood and right there around that area is taken care of, and that earning money is not the only thing we have to be concerned about as citizens of the United States of America and of Shreveport. And I am strongly opposed to any more liquor coming into that community. Our people need to know how to work and support themselves and not become ill and demand from drinking liquor all their lives. And when this happens to small children, they don't know any better. We as adults must be concerned about this next generation so that they will be able to function and be able to learn in school and prepare themselves for productive lives. Then they can be contributing citizens to Shreveport, Louisiana, and United States of America. So I am strongly opposed, and I really ask you all not to give another strong liquor license. We were here about 2 years ago when the beer came, and now it's going to get stronger. So if there's something else, I guess they're going to try to put that out there too. We deserve better. Particularly, children deserve better. And when public bodies like this make decisions, I know you're concerned about the children who have to be spoken for. We have to go beyond money making. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Anyone else here to speak in opposition?
Just for the record,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman,
Mr.
there is
Clark?
one letter of opposition in your packet.
Oh, yes, there's a letter.
But there's a lot of petitions for it.
Yeah. And there is, I don't even know what the number is.
Mr. Chairman.
We probably, I don't, do you know, does staff have any sense of how many names on this petition?
We didn't count them.
You didn't count them?
No, sir.
Just,
Would you like for us to count them?
no, we're gonna go just south of 100, it looks like.
Yeah, we had estimated close to 100.
Close to 100 signatures. All right, yes, Mr. Young?
Mr. Clark or Mr. Jean, this particular lady's facility, she left, so could y'all tell me if y'all know what street that's located on?
It's located on Ford, I know exactly where it is. It's located on Ford Street. It's approaching the corner of Ford, and it's.
You see it, is it on the map?
It's on Alston.
Yeah.
Alton and Ford?
Alston.
Yeah.
Alston?
Alston.
Yes. No, not the facility, you're talking about her, you're talking about that. Her property.
She's probably about 2 blocks from the actual grocery store, the learning center.
Did you get your?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm sorry.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Mr. Remedies, second by Ms. Cooper. Question.
Now, the way,
Hold
motion
on
to
one
approve
second.
the way that.
Hold on one second. Your motion was a motion to approve the
As submitted.
request as submitted,
Yes. Submitted to-
but not necessarily the staff report.
Yeah. To allow the,
Did you see the staff so yours is a recommendation to approve the request?
yeah.
All right, we have a second by Ms. Cooper. Mr. Young.
Clarification, because this is a motion, Ronnie, to approve with what's called hard liquor, full liquor sales. It's not just packaged beer and wine. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's because they already sell.
But the staff recommendation was just beer and wine. They did not recommend the request of the applicant.
Yeah.
So you're for all liquor sales?
What they're requesting
That's
and
all I
what
needed.
the
Thank you, Mr.
neighborhood's in support of.
Okay.
Okay,
You
that's, I
good?
just wanted to make sure what your motion was. Thank you.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor vote yes. Oh, is it up? All right, all in favor vote yes, all opposed no.
No, it's not.
It's not a. It's okay. Take your time.
I just have to. All right, so we don't, our machine is down, if you would.
There's a, the seal is up. Somebody needs to reboot it.
All right, all in favor, I tell you what, we don't, our machine, the voting device is down. So if we will, just for the record, a show of hands. All in favor, if you would, by sign of hand. All in favor? I have, please do it, I'm gonna count.
2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
All right, that's seven.
7.
All opposed?
2.
It's 2. 7, 4, 2 against, it passes. All right, next on our agenda is item 15, case number C-71-18, zoning request. This is us.
Yeah, let's let it clear. No, I have never seen
Not this one.
We're done.
I didn't see you at the state convention.
I was there all 3 days.
Really?
I didn't come just.
Huh?
All right, big government. All right, no one here to speak in support of this applicant, but this is us.
This is an application that's initiated by the staff for approval.
All right, is there anyone who is here to speak in opposition to this application, zoning request? All right, if not,
Motion to approve.
I have a motion by Ms. DeMartini, second by Ms. Smith. Any questions? None. All in favor vote yes, all opposed no. Well, by show of hands, if you will, if you're in favor, if you will, raise your hand. It's unanimous. For the record, it passes. Next item is item 16, case number C-72-18. It's a zoning request. Is anyone here to represent the applicant?
Mr. Leonard?
No problem.
Ricky Leonard, 9204 Linwood, Suite 103, Shreveport, 71106. I think most of y'all probably know what this property is. We've had it for 13 years. It's storage property, Albee Road Storage. And I think it got downzoned with UDC, am I correct? We're trying to expand. We have an acre in the back. We want to build another 30,000 feet on. And that's what we're here for today, is to get the zoning properly identified for that.
And I do want to explain that he had C2, which would not allow the storage facility by right, would allow it for a special use permit. So Mr. Leonard then asked for something over and above what he had before, which is now C3. So that's what he's in front of, and that would give him by right, and he wouldn't have to have a special use permit.
All right. Any questions? Mr. Remedies?
As long as you don't do another terrible development like you did in Madison.
We're gonna try. By the way, we got an open house Saturday, y'all are all invited.
That turned out way nicer than even the renderings. I was blown away by
Thank you.
the way it looked.
Yeah, we're open now, so we're
Good,
good.
very good.
All right, if no questions, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else here to speak in support of this application? Anyone to speak in opposition? All right.
Mr. Chair, motion approved.
Second.
Have a motion by Mr. Young, a second by Mr. Remedies to approve. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor, raise your right hand. It passes unanimously. Our next item is case number P-27-18, a zoning request. Again, Shreveport Cattle MPC is the applicant. Anyone here to speak in support of this application? Anyone to speak in opposition is the question I should ask.
Mr. Jean's motion.
For opposition for Shreveport Cattle for Rhoda Road, Lloyd Street, South Lake Shore Drive. Any here to speak in opposition?
And it should be.
I'm sorry, it's
noted, Mr.
not
Chairman.
printed up. It's not, if you don't have a printed agenda, it's not on the screen. I apologize. But it is Rhoda Road, Lloyd's Road, South Lake Shore Drive, that particular case. Yes.
My name is Ron Peralt. I live at 2696 Lloyd's Road. We do not want the zoning to be changed. We solicited a petition throughout the subdivision. There's probably, we got better than 80% of the houses that are out there. We're not in opposition to the double wides. It's just that I think they have combined the two of either double wides and single wides as one entity. So we would just like to oppose the rezoning of our subdivision at this time.
All right.
And I assume that y'all have the petition that we solicited.
Yes, looking at it now.
All right. Any questions?
Any questions for the applicant? I mean, tell me your name one more time.
It's Ron Peralt. Now, I'm in opposition.
Peralt. Yes, yes.
Okay.
Any question for Mr. Peralt? Mr. Remedies, question for staff?
Is this something that was changed under the UDC
The initial zoning was changed. This is an application that we initiated as staff because one of the residents that was living in the subdivision had a mobile home and at some point removed the mobile home. And when he removed the mobile home, he had a right to put another mobile home there. But after he removed it, the UDC became enacted into law and he could no longer return to placing a mobile home at the site. So at that time, he requested us to initiate an application to return it back to the original zoning in order to be able to allow mobile homes. And that's what we did.
All right.
So you have, go ahead.
Well, but was he going to add a mobile home to his existing site?
He was going to replace a mobile home.
Oh, just
He had-
replace one that
right,
was
he had a
there.
mobile home and something happened to it and then he wanted to replace it and he could no longer replace it because the zoning had changed.
Take it out.
And is that the only mobile home in the subdivision?
There are a couple mobile homes in there. There are a couple, 2, 3 double wides. I think there's one existing single wide. And again, you know, we're not trying to push that out. It's just that as these things deteriorate, they're being pulled out, and we just don't want the subdivision to go to a total single wide or double wide type community. There are some lots that are not, doesn't have any houses or anything on them, so we're just trying to protect our land values. It is lakefront property. A lot of the places, again, it's just, we want it to stay like it is. The ones that are there are okay, but when they pull them out, you can't go back in with a manufactured house.
Mr. Chairman? Are you the substitute chairman?
Vice Chair.
Okay. I guess the question I have, is it this, I know this is bad timing for whoever the one was that had the mobile home pulled out. In your opinion, the neighbors that signed that petition, there's got to be a line in the sand where you go from old to new, okay? So I guess my point of it is, if this gentleman was allowed, person, whoever, lady, was allowed to get their mobile home put back in because they didn't know the transition, would the neighbors be opposed to that?
They would be opposed to a single wide. We have neighbors in there that have put new double wides in the last few years.
But do you know if this particular one, Alan, was going back with a single wide?
Do we know?
We don't know.
Does
We
it
don't
matter?
know. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
because
matter,
the
that's why we
ordinance
had to object, because there's no
It
distinction.
doesn't matter because Mr. Colvin, the ordinance speaks of mobile homes as mobile home, manufactured homes, whether they're single wide or double wide.
And that's where we're struggling the most, is that there's no distinction between them, and there's a definite value difference in them.
Okay.
Oh, I have a question for staff. Mr. Clark?
Sir?
But if we deny this request, if someone has a mobile home, they can upgrade to a new mobile home.
They can't do that either, kid. No,
They can't replace their mobile home?
Correct.
Because what I'm concerned with is that
they can't.
it's a double-edged sword where people never replace their mobile home and it falls apart because they're not allowed to put a new one in. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's
Checking the
guaranteed to
orders.
rot at that point.
If you can, if it's damaged at no fault of the owner.
Okay, so storm damage, but I'm saying that if someone says, okay, my place is run down, I can't improve this place, you're saying they can't get an application to go and buy a brand new one and put it in to improve the...
No, so because it's now non-conforming.
So it would...
Right.
That's kind of what I'm struggling with is that
What-
you know they're all going to rot at this point, then...
And so if we, that's the reason why staff was recommending to go to this district, so that would allow them to replace them, because you can have the same kind of, what you see out there now, which is a combination of manufactured homes and what I would call stick-built homes. And that district we're proposing would allow both. But the problem is, that's what being articulated by a lot of the residents is, they don't have a problem with manufactured homes as long as they are double wide. And years ago, probably 10 years ago, we used to have a distinction in the code between what we call manufactured home and single wide homes. There's no such distinction now. So basically, the only way that you're going to be able to get that done is allow the possibility of single wides, which is the neighborhoods are saying that they don't want.
And in honest,
pretty
Mr.
complicated.
Ramirez, that was the reason that we initiated this application, to give you an opportunity to hear a review by the neighborhood to determine if they wanted to return, to maintain the zoning that they have, or be permitted to be allowed to bring additional manufactured or mobile homes into the subdivision.
Okay, thank you.
Chair.
More questions?
Ms. Young?
Ms. Demoto, I think you were first.
I
sorry.
think they answered it in the meantime.
Okay.
Thank you.
It is my understanding, and please staff correct me if I'm wrong, the request to put the zoning back the way it was because what we initiated, probably a little over a year ago, which gave this process to go back and put your property back where it was. The problem is we're looking at a subdivision as a whole, as opposed to generally what we talked about before, which was an individual property owner having one piece of property. So this is doing something in totality to everybody in the community, where in the past, we only did it to a single landowner. The ones down the riverfront come to mind as the ones we reestablished, the ones we just did last month down on Mansfield Road, put it back to an industrial level. And this is actually enforcing something back on somebody that you didn't do before. And go back and battle back history, before the UDC went into effect, we actually took an ordinance, part of the ordinance out of the code, which allowed mobile homes to be put in Queensboro, in the middle of site-built homes up in there. Because there was some good logical reasons they wanted that done, because there were vacant lots and they were trying to get them rehabilitate those lands, or populate those lots back with some kind of structure. And the net result was it had a negative effect. You did exactly the opposite of what you thought you were going to do, which was improve the neighborhood, and you actually put structures in there and didn't improve it. The only other question I had, and those are just basic comments that I had in my personal opinion, was this does not preclude modular homes.
Does not.
Okay, so if a modular home could go back in there, which a lot of people are doing nowadays, as opposed to a mobile home or manufactured home. So
Right.
That's just food for thought about where it's at. It's enforcing something on the whole community. I have a problem with that when you're forcing everybody into basically a mobile home park now. It's a mixed use. It's mobile
Yeah.
home and site built, which fits that category.
May I, Mr. Chair?
Yes.
Just to add a little more clarity, is that when this property was originally brought in, back in the 50s, it was originally a fish camp, and then it was brought in when zoning actually was laid down. All of this area was laid down as RA. But none of the lots met the RA standards. So all of those years, those lots were non-conforming building sites. And so when the UDC came in is when we tried to correct that by getting the proper district in place, which is the R17, which does reflect their size. Unfortunately, when we did that, the right to have mobile homes disappeared. And that's really how it got here. So you're hearing from the residents, many, not all, but a representation of the residents are saying, we like what you did in rezoning us to R17. We want to keep it at R17. But we have another person who wants to be able to replace a mobile home that wanted it back to RA. And we were saying RA is not appropriate because the lot sizes are too small for RA because the minimum lot size for RA is 1 acre. These are closer to the R17, 7,000 to, square foot size. So if we went back to RA, that means then all of the lots would be non-conforming size, which is another problem. So this is a much more complex case than what we've had before, is because the previous district that was laid down under the Chapter 106 was not appropriate for these size lots. Does that make sense?
Yes, but
And I think this was under Chapter 54, the parish.
Excuse me, yeah, 54, sorry. Yeah, I said 106, it's 54, he's correct.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir, Mr.
Hypothetically, if we just addressed this lot that they're having the issue with now, and we can't do that single lot, it has to be the entire neighborhood. I'm saying just allow them the 24 months that we agreed everyone could have, that we would waive their application fees, and after that, then the applicant would have to come back, and that may satisfy some of the concerns of the neighbors, but also allow this person to put their new. I'm just looking for a middle ground.
And I will accept input, but if the only way that you could have a mobile home would be to spot zone this lot, an RA lot, but it still wouldn't meet the requirements because the lot's only like 7,000 square feet. So I think that this is the only path that you have at your disposal in order to grant the use of mobile homes in that subdivision.
Okay.
Unfortunately.
No, that's
all you have at your disposal.
It would lend itself precisely to this gentleman's concern, correct?
Right.
What is your name? I'm sorry.
My name is Ron Peralt.
Peralt. Okay, Mr. Peralt. Am I hearing you say that it's your wish is for that community to evolve into the future without mobile homes?
I'm sorry, I don't hear well.
Can you hear me?
Without the single line.
Well, am I hearing you correctly that it's your opinion, it's your wish that your neighborhood evolve, say over the next 20, 30 years into a community with no mobile homes as opposed to?
That it has evolved more for homes than it has. There has not been a lot of new construction.
That's what you would like to see, is single-family homes only.
Right, single-family homes, and there were a couple old dilapidated single-wides in the subdivision. They have been pulled out, and we just don't, it's finally getting kind of cleaned up, and we just don't want to go back to that.
But you would rather go forward with no mobile homes, double or single, than to have both?
We're not given that option as the zoning, as I understand it.
Right. So if those are your two choices, none
We
or...
don't have the option of saying, hey, a double wide's okay, but your single wide is not, with the way it's zoned currently. So with not having the option, we have to be in opposition of it being rezoned to allow the RMHS zoning.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, I just wanted to clarify what your position was.
Okay.
All right.
Mr. Chair.
Yes, Mr. Young.
Mr. Clark, no, Mr. Jean, I'm sorry.
Okay.
For clarifications, it was before the UDC came into effect, it was an RA.
Yes.
And the manufactured home was moved off the property before the UDC went into effect.
Correct.
And so in that process, the neighborhood was then rezoned to
R17.
R7. Okay, R17. I'm just trying to wrap, and the RA specifications wouldn't even apply now because the lots are too small.
They always have been.
Always have been too small. And the time frame for the public record, your estimation, best guess, and I'll ask Mr. Ron Peralt.
Close enough.
To give it also an answer as well. In excess of a year, maybe closer.
Only thing I'm sure of is it was removed prior to the
Unified
adoption
Development
of the UDC.
And
That's
the
the only thing
UDC
I'm
for
certain of.
this is in the city or in
Parish.
In the parish.
It's in the parish.
The parish approved that UDC
December.
December 2017.
Right.
Okay. Mr. Peralta, can you give us an estimate in your history of your mind about how long ago this was actually became a vacant lot?
One more time with the question. I'm
When
sorry.
it became a vacant lot, when the existing structure was moved off that property?
There's a house, as I understand it, there's a house on this lot.
Uh-huh.
Years ago, they kind of had
A house
both,
and a trailer?
single wide and a trailer wide. That area in there, we've had several floods. It got fairly dilapidated for that area where it was at. They pulled it out. There's been another such lot where there was an old mobile home, single wide again, I'm referring to, that became in a dilapidated state. It's been pulled out. We have good neighbors out there with double wides.
Right.
We're not opposing to that, but we're just forced into a corner with no distinction.
When did somebody own this particular lot, when did they no longer
I want to say it's
anybody
been
live there?
10 years ago, roughly.
Yeah, the house that's there now belongs to another person.
I have to ask Mr.
That's fine. I want to say it's been about 10 years ago.
Since
that-
anybody's lived on that property?
Yes, there is a home there.
But no, resided there.
No, in the single wide, no, there's no one living there in the single wide at this time,
And nobody's resided there for 10 years?
to my knowledge. I've been out there for 8 years.
Okay.
I could bring up another person with
Well, they're more
more.
than welcome to come. They have the ability to speak. So if you'll relent the mic, but you have to relent, you
That's
can't come
fine.
back.
That's fine. Is there any more questions for me?
I'm trying to
before-
figure out what's the last time somebody actually lived
So-
on the property.
so-
That gives me a lot of leeway when I go to make my decision.
So your question was,
How long has it been since somebody actually lived on the property?
well, there's people living on the property now, but how long is your question
In the trailer.
specific as to how long it's been?
In the
since
single wide
wide
home.
In the
was there?
single wide.
I'll have to relinquish the mic because I can't answer.
All right, so maybe one of the other neighbors will know.
So,
Hello.
let me ask you this, you here to speak in opposition or just to answer this question?
Opposition.
All right, if you would, your name and address.
My
for the
name
record.
is David Spivey. I live at 2710 Lloyds. I've been there 41 years. Raised 2 kids, had a great place for my kids to grow up in. The lot that you're speaking of right now used to belong to Mr. Calhoun, which was the head of the Cross Lake Patrol years ago. He retired. His daughter lived beside him on the same lot in a trailer. Mr. Calhoun passed away a few years ago. The trailer got abandoned, and she moved into the main house, and it was completely abandoned and growed up and everything else. So they finally drug it off because now Miss Calhoun, the daughter, health has gone down, and her family has moved into the house. And so now they redid the home and everything else, and there's a slab there where a single wide could be put. And being a neighbor out there, all the years we've watched homes being built and the neighborhood's escalated. And we feel like if we allow mobile homes, single wides, to be brought back in, it's going to tear our property prices down.
How long is that home?
Mr. Young?
Mr. Spivey,
Yes.
are you telling me that the mobile home that was there and the existing structure were there were both houses on one lot?
I'm not certain if there are separations on those lots because the plat I hadn't got in front of me, but I know there was no distinction of a fence that separated the 2 lots. And so,
Mr. Jean, do you know?
I think it's a separate piece of property.
You think it's a separate lot?
Yeah.
But no way to verify that.
Well, you, normally on Google Earth, you can go back.
Yeah, but this
12
thing's so
years.
wooded, I can't see anything.
Yeah, because it'll give you all the way back to 06 or 07, and you can time lapse for it, but I can't get it to operate.
but
I don't have any case where they had a special exception used for additional one. I believe it's on a separate piece. I'm fairly
You
certain.
know how many things were done in this city that there was no permit for?
Yeah. Well, all I know is when this got to us, that it had already been a determination that they couldn't put it back on because of the zoning.
That's all I have, Mr. Spivey, thank you.
Okay. Well, I just want to make sure everybody
I was just trying to
understands,
find
we're
out.
not against the double wide, which would have to say is a modular home now, but single wides we're completely against.
No, sir. No, sir. A modular home is built to the same standard that any house is today. It's just made in a factory.
That's right.
What we often refer to as double wides are manufactured homes that are made in a factory. They have to have a HUD seal in it, but they do not meet the International Residential Code. But a modular home does. And now, just from hearing information about that, there is a price differential between the two, and that's the reason why most people would like to see what we refer to as a manufactured home or double wide, because it's more affordable.
But we don't have much of an option but to oppose this, and I think most of you can probably understand that, so. That's all I have.
Modular homes also can be built on the slab. You can pre-build them and
Yes,
put
you
them on
can
the slab
pre-build
versus-
them and bring them and set them on a slab.
Because that's money actually out.
You probably wouldn't really be able to tell much of the difference, except for the fact it's brought in on a truck. You're going to see it come in that way.
Yeah, Mr. Spivey, one more question. When that mobile home was there, were one in front and behind each other, or were they side by side as you look from the street view?
The mobile home was off by itself from the,
More side by side as opposed to one in front of the other?
there wasn't a side-by-side, it was just a single-wide mobile home.
Did they also possess a separate driveway to access it? Now I'm going to make you think.
I'm pretty sure there was a separate drive there. I mean, it's been abandoned so long, it's hard for me to even almost remember that it was, it grew up all around it, so you couldn't really tell what was there. And the new owners have really done a great job on upgrading the home. It looks great, the home that was there, but they got rid of the mobile home. Now, why they want to bring one back in, I don't understand that, but as far as a property owner, I don't want to see my property go down any further than it already has.
Mr. Chair, that's all I have. I would.
Anybody else
Any
got
other
any
questions?
questions while I'm still standing? I'll be glad to answer them for you.
Any other
Because I don't like talking in the first place, so.
All right, thank you, sir. Anybody else in opposition? Anyone else would like to speak in opposition? All right. All right. What, is there anyone who was here, again, let me reiterate, to support the application?
Can I speak in opposition, sir?
Oh, opposite, yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Terry Lewis. I reside at 2700 Rhoda Road in the subdivision that's in question. The majority of the property owners in the subdivision are against this proposal. It's my understanding, and I believe you have a copy of a letter that was proposed to you with signatures that show the same. As you've heard here earlier, our concern is that, the devaluation of the existing properties that are there. It's an eclectic neighborhood. There are some homes that are quite a lot more valuable than others. I have a very nice home there myself. I own 3 lots there. And as a matter of fact, I have the only single wide in the subdivision, which I moved there several years ago with the approval of the neighbors that were there at the time, and also zoning. And I did that for my mother, who's now 92 years old and disabled, so that she could be next to me and I could take care of her. My intention is at some point when she passes to move that single wide mobile home off of that property, which will hopefully add more value to the neighborhood and even my home. So that's my intention at this time. When I moved the mobile home there were 2 other single wide mobile homes in the neighborhood, and 2 of those have since been removed because of dilapidated condition. The mobile home that I have, I take care of myself. I'm retired from the fire department. I've added on a nice front porch. It has a double wide carport on the back. It's landscaped. We have trees and bushes in the front that obscures it from the road. And like I said, my mother's there, and so it's taken care of. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know what my intention is for the only single wide mobile home that's existing in the subdivision currently. So again, I would like to see you vote in opposition to the proposed ordinance, again, to try to maintain and maybe even improve at some point our property values as a member of Caddo Parish and adjacent to the Shreveport community. Thank you very much for the opportunity to speak.
All right. Anyone else? Anyone else to speak in opposition? I wanted to say earlier, I wasn't sure if anyone heard me talk about speaking in support of the application, but it was an MPC application. So was there anyone to speak in support? All right. All right. Oh, is it? There's no, it would be us.
We don't have a rebuttal.
You'd have to ask Mr. Clark if he wants a rebuttal.
Mr. Remedies?
Now, this is just to staff. If we see that this is a problem and going to cause more problems, what is our? How can we fix this? I mean, like we've already sent amendments to the UDC already. I mean, we hear from them and they're saying that this is our only option and we would rather not do this, but it's our only option. So, is there something that we can work toward to fix the problem? Because it's not the last time it's going to come up.
I think you can direct us to look into alternatives and that we could come up with that would actually address what you're asking us to address. And we would do the research and try to come up with recommendations to you for your recommendation to the legislative bodies to amend the ordinance to do the things that you're asking.
Okay, because I see this coming up again, and what we see is in neighborhoods, sometimes in commercial and sometimes in residential, when we're too restrictive or someone can't just replace a mobile home that they normally would, they'll let it go into disrepair and where it's unlivable and unsightly, and I understand they want the long term, but in that 10 or 15 year period, things might get so bad with the way things look that it ends up being overall bad for the neighborhood. So if we could come to a middle ground and change the way we do things to not force this to happen to this community.
And not to get off of onto something beyond this case, we'd be more than happy to look into ways to recommend to you to attempt to address this problem in the future.
Okay.
And come back at a later date and report to you.
But I know we have to vote today, but that's very okay. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Ms. Cooper and then.
I just wanted to make sure we have perspective a little bit about this particular problem, the single versus the double. I mean, we're still mobile homes. I mean, the master plan and the UDC, which was designed to try to implement the master plan, does allow mobile homes and RAs, residential agricultural, or is that right?
Yeah.
And mobile home subdivisions and mobile home parks, which will have designated spots across the city and the parish. And I think this particular subdivision, the lots are too small anyway it's not an appropriate place anyway. So I don't know that this is a problem we're going to have over and over again. And if we do have a few problems like this, I think it's better to remedy them and move forward and let these subdivisions evolve in a way in keeping with our master plan and the wishes of the community. And there's going to be some collateral damage, I think, but as long as it's not too pervasive and there's still places for people to live in mobile homes, we're not eradicating that. It's just we're trying to clean up some of these things. And if we keep going back and revising every time we have one little anecdotal problem, we're not going to move forward with our master plan vision. That's just my perspective.
And Ms. Cooper, what all I was suggesting is some sort of revision to where someone could, if there was not a mobile home on the lot, they couldn't come and put a new one there. But if they wanted to put a new one there and they had one existing, long as it was not removed for more than X number of days, you can see where that's probably a good middle ground for that, for people to improve the neighborhood, but not allow for any more. That's
maybe so, but depending on how many applicants come forward that way. But I don't know. I think.
And like just to respond to your comments, Mr. Remedies, this would not have helped this gentleman because the mobile home was already gone.
That's right. I agree.
But in the event that if you have an existing structure on a lot and you want to upgrade and to a better mobile home per se, possibly would be worth looking into. I'm not saying that we would not find that it's in contradiction to the master plan, but it may not be just totally bad to look into that possibility.
Okay.
Mr. Young?
Just from my mind on clarification, since we were the applicant on this, if we come back with some revision in the applicant, we maybe look at some other language changes that we do. We're not going to be precluded from the 1 year time frame and those type of issues that a normal applicant would have if it was, I'm not saying it's going to be denied or would be denied.
If it was denied, we couldn't come back with the exact same application. We would have to find another way to deal with it.
But it would be a different one because
It would
we
be.
would be working off of.
It would be.
Right.
We can withdraw the application.
No, it would, we could come back, it would not be a rezoning, it would be a text amendment.
Got it. Okay, Mr. Chair, if I'd like to make a motion if nobody else has any comments. Motion to deny the application.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Young, a second by Ms. Cooper to deny the application.
I just wanted, on the record, I think I may be the first one to shoot the staff down on their application.
It's not the staff,
They were just
If it passes.
It's not a
They were
problem.
just bringing it to the public.
Okay.
And I commend the staff for trying to work this out.
Oh, I agree, 100%.
All in favor, vote yes. All opposed, no. All right, that has been denied. Next on our agenda is item number 18, case number P-28-18, a zoning request, Moore and Associates.
It's been so long.
Andy Craig, Moore and Associates, 1324 North Hearn, Suite 301, Shreveport 71101. This might be the smallest zoning case that's been presented before y'all. If you remember the case at the end of Singleton Road, we've been trying to assemble a residential subdivision, part of it which was mobile home park, and we've been in the process of changing the mobile home zoning to the R15 to allow the residential. In the process of developing those legal descriptions necessary for that, there was a small piece that was inadvertently left out. So this is just some cleanup to make sure we don't have a gap in that.
What is the iteration of this one?
What's that?
What is the iteration of this one? How many times did we see?
Hopefully this will be the last time.
You charge it by the hour?
Well, I will have to say, it was left out on our fault. We should have caught that. We did not, so we're backing up to make it right. So this one's not costing him anything.
Right? Any questions for Mr. Craig? Thank you, Mr. Craig. Anyone else here to speak in support of this application? Anyone to speak in opposition?
Mr. Chair, motion to approve.
So moved.
Have a motion by Mr. Young, second by Ms. Smith. If there's no questions, all in favor vote yes. All opposed, no. All right, that passes. Next on our agenda, item 19, case number P-29-18 is zoning request.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Chang Liu. I reside at 9546 Linwood Avenue, zip code 71106. We are currently the owners as well as the occupants. The property was purchased back in July of 2016, and we have been making slow improvements since. The issue at hand is upon purchasing the property, there had been expansion on the house that was not finished, as well as remnants of, I would say, about an acre divided into 3 large fenced areas and small animal houses, which we assumed meant that we were zoned to have livestock of some sort. And although we have no intentions of dealing in any business with livestock, we do have pet goats. And as you may see on your packets, we have 12 small Nigerian dwarf goats. They are as small as my dog, and they are basically just lawnmowers. They're very cute. We do reside on 6 acres, all of which we have fenced in. And since our application, we have continued to add additional 5-foot-tall goat fencing to make sure that they no longer have access to the security gate. As you can see, we do border to our south side. We border 3 empty lots, none of which are developed, and as of now, so far have shown no signs of residential development to happen in the future. To our north side is zoned industrial and is currently for sale. But it was a salvage yard in the past, and the original owners listed it back on the market. All other sides that are not fenced by the picket fence are dense vegetation, and those have also been, we've switched to using goat wire to accommodate between the trees, as well as barbed wire. We hope that you do consider our application. We've had the goats for over a year and a half now, and unfortunately, we did not know about the zoning problem until it was brought to our attention by the MPC. Thank you.
All right. Any questions for Ms. Liu? All right, thank you. Is anyone else here to speak in support of this application? Anyone to speak in opposition?
Chair, motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Young, a second by Mrs. Smith to approve. Any other questions? Seeing none, all opposed, yes. Excuse me, all in favor, yes. All opposed, no. All right, that passes. Next on our agenda is item 20, case number P-30-18.
We saw that deep sigh of breath.
P-30-18, Wayne and Teresa Gale Simmons, applicants. Mr. Jones?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, all of you. It's good to see everyone. I'm Marshall Jones. My address is 2124 Fairfield, Shreveport, Louisiana, 71104. I've been asked by my clients to be their spokesman today. I represent Wayne and Teresa Gale Simmons. They're longtime friends and clients of mine. Some of you may know of them. They, for about 25 plus years, they have owned Shreveport Electric Company and C&C Electric on Line Avenue. Well-known, well-liked, well-respected business people in town. It's a double application, 2 cases. That first is a rezoning request. The second is a special use permit request that flows from the rezoning request. The applicants own a 6-acre tract of land outside the city limits, 5800 Jefferson Page Road. It's a beautiful piece of property. I went out there a couple of weeks ago. They've lived there for decades. It's got magnificent oak trees, pecan trees, and it's already has landscaping across the front with some beautiful crepe myrtle trees. My clients desire to build a dog boarding facility and a dog training facility on their 6-acre tract. Under the new UDC, that requires that their existing zoning, which is R17, be changed to RE. The neighborhood is not densely populated, and it is primarily, or is exclusively, a RE neighborhood, zone neighborhood as it is now. The Simmons already live on this property. They reside there. And again, it's outside the city limits. So I'm not sure there's any opposition, but I'll address that if there is. The special use permit request is with a site plan that's been furnished to you. Again, the Simmons have their existing residence on this property. They also have a fabulous, iconic barn that is going to be the centerpiece of their new business. The barn is going to be converted to have both AC and heat It will have 15 kennels for their planned boarding business. The barn will also be expanded on all sides to include new roofing for purposes of just an overhang of 10 feet on all sides. The proposed improvements to the property that you can see on Lauren Marcott's site plan include two 50 by 75 foot training areas with a small fabric structure that is what is expected in boarding and breeding facilities now because of our heat here. There's also one 50 by 100 foot training area and a 60 foot by 100 foot open kennel structure. The property has a 6 foot fence all around it now. Additional fencing has been proposed on the site plan that would satisfy, we think, any requirements of the UDC. In addition, the property has a rock driveway that goes from the front off of Jefferson Page to where the barn is, which is probably, I estimate, about 600 feet. That road is going to be paved and 6 additional parking spaces are going to be added next to what will be the office for the facility. I think that the only request that we have that was not fully covered in the staff report actually does a better job of explaining what my clients request than I could, and we thank the staff for that. What my clients would like is the opportunity to board no more than 30 dogs. It's a 6-acre tract. They're going to have, we're going to begin with 15 kennels, 2 per kennel. And so what we would request that the only change to the staff recommendation would be that there would be no more than 30 adult dogs allowed with this first facility. The plan is that if this business is successful, to expand it. And we'll tell you more about that when and if it expands. We request that the rezoning be altered from R17 to RE, and subsequent, we respectfully ask that the special use permit be approved. And if you have any questions, I'll be glad to try to address them.
Ms. Smith?
I'm so happy to see you. You know it.
Good to see you, Ms. Smith.
Yes, indeed.
How's the mayor of Stoner Hill?
I heard you say to be 30 adult dogs.
Yes, ma'am.
And I was just concerned about how many staff would be working there and the hours of operation.
The hours of operation, I think, are from 9 until 6. I tell you that in addition, on summer nights, they may well want to exercise the dogs later in the evening because of the heat. It just gets so unbearably hot to run your dogs. If any of y'all, I know a lot of y'all are dog lovers, taking your dog out in 3 in the afternoon to exercise him is not a good idea. And so they might have that. I drove out, Ms. Smith, I drove out and looked at the property. There's nothing else around it. And it's outside the city limits. It's a beautiful tract. My clients are dog lovers and breeders. And when you go to C&C Electric up on Line Avenue, it's very common to see a dog in there, a mama dog with her new brood in the store. And that's almost a reason I think a lot of people go there to see which dog has had puppies. I can assure you that if there were ever any complaints, the Simmons would address it immediately. And speaking with Jake Pallant, I think is his name, I asked him what opposition he knew of, and Jake said that a letter had come in from someone in Atlanta who apparently owns, is an absentee owner and owns a piece of property somewhere in the area, and got the application notice. And this lady was concerned about noise, dog noise. Well, we will stipulate that if this lady in Atlanta can hear a dog in Shreveport, we will remove that dog immediately and send her a note of apology. But that's the only request that I know of for any change, any any new bell and whistle. It's going to be a fabulous facility. Why my clients want to leave these two successful businesses behind and go get I'm a dog lover, and it takes a lot of time, but they love dogs, and it's going to be done right. If you look at Lauren Markive's site plan, every request that the staff has made has been included, and then some.
Will they be breeding them there and selling the dogs? Because I'm a lover of dogs, that's why I'm talking.
Yes, ma'am. To your point, they do plan on boarding the dogs as one facet of their new business, and to a lesser extent, breeding dogs. And thus the large kennel for a male and a female inside an air-conditioned barn. And then those dogs will be sold. How successful that will be and how that will take place will, pan itself out. I do envision that they will have a van that, like, you decide you want to go out of town one weekend, you can call them, and their van would come to your home in Stoner Hill and pick your dog up on Friday afternoon, and on Sunday afternoon when you got back, they'd bring your dog back to you. And that's the basis of their boarding business there. And I've seen the budget. It's going to be a really nice facility.
Mr. Jones, are they taking applications?
Yeah, they would, Mr. Joseph, but I don't think you have any more time in your day, in as much as I know you're going to be president of the Shreveport Bar in about 3 months, so you're not going to have time to be training dogs.
Okay. All right, Mr. Young?
This is a clarification for staff. I would ask a question. If we were to grant them to go to 30, that would be on the case P3018, not on the zoning case P2918.
And that's what I was trying to ask you. We basically combined both cases.
Right, but we need to take care of the zoning.
You need to take care of the zoning.
Zoning comes first. I apologize.
You have two separate cases.
I just want to make sure that if we were to make that recommendation or change, it would be
we would
on the
have some
second case.
additional comments on the second case.
Very good, okay.
Ms. Clark, I'm sorry I didn't distinguish them, but the special use permit does flow from
I
the.
just want to make a motion and try to tie it to the first one with the zoning case on. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. Anyone else here to speak in support of the application? Anyone in opposition? All right.
Thank you for your time and courtesy.
Oh, we can't move it?
Yeah, go ahead.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion by Ms. Smith, a second by Mr. Remedies on the zoning request, case P-30-18. There are no questions. All in favor vote yes. All opposed no. Thank you. That passes. Next is case number P-31-18, which is a special use permit and site plan, which we have spoken about already as well. Is there anyone to speak in support of that?
Question.
All right. Hold on a second.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
I would like for the applicant to come back up just a moment to answer a couple of clarification questions.
Glad to.
The first thing before I ask the question, I do want Mr. Bailey to read the portion of the ordinance that talks about the hours of operation. Could you do that, Mr. Bailey, please?
Yes, in Article 6 use standards for animal care facility, animal shelter, and commercial breeder, it says the permitted hours for outdoor activities for an animal care facility are between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m.
So that's stipulated by ordinance, and that's not really in front of you today. I wanted to clarify that. And then secondly, could you please define for us adult dog? Is that specific?
I don't have a good
age?
definition for you, Stephen. My concern, when I was reading the statute,